I am Brad Keelor. He is Ming Xiao. You are watching Director's Cut. Find out next why Ming spent his time at negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I am the director of the Geo-Institute. That is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every week, I sit down with another Geo-Institute member who tells you all kinds of details about their life. Some of the questions I ask are personal, some are professional. All are fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, or if you only know a very little bit, we are a technical society for geotechnical engineers and geologists in the American Society of Civil Engineers. We have about 12,000 members. We do all kinds of cool stuff. You can find out more at geoinstitute.org. And if you like what you see today, and I think you will, click on the little button that says subscribe, click on get notifications, and we will let you know every time we post something. Now, for the reason we are here today, we are joined by Ming Xiao from the Pennsylvania State University. You might know it as Penn State. Ming, thank you for sitting down with me today.
Thank you, Brad.
As always, we have 10 questions. We're going to have a good time, and we start out the same way with every guest on Director's Cut. Ming, describe your job in 45 seconds.
Okay, well, I'm a father of two wonderful elementary school kids. That's my number one job in life. And I'm also on the faculty of civil engineering at Penn State. I teach graduate and undergraduate courses. I consider teaching is my number one responsibility of my professional job, but the majority of my time was spent on working with my group and many other collaborators on research projects. I also spend quite some time every week to serve the community within and outside of Penn State.
That is great, and I think you're only the second person to mention parenting as part of the job on Director's Cut, which, you know, honestly, probably spending a lot more time being a parent than you are in your day job. If you're anything like me, that's how it goes. You signed up for it. So we get into the fun questions on Director's Cut, and we make you think back. What one aspect of your childhood would be the most surprising to people who know you now?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Thinking back, I think I would become a professor in the US. No one saw that coming, including myself. And I was a good student, but never the best. And so being able to, doing a job I really like and every day, and even getting paid for it. And that's really amazing.
Do you think that it helps you be a better professor and teacher because maybe you weren't the best student and you learned a little bit about how to make yourself better that way?
Yes, through my years as a student, and I also struggled and with stress and getting a poor grade and good grade. So I understand being a student and what was it like, and that still kind of reminded me every day. So when I think of in a student's shoes, I can become a better teacher.
That is great. In the little intro, we teased this one, that you spent some time at minus 40 Fahrenheit last year as part of your research into the Arctic. Can you talk a little bit about that? Where did you go? What did you do? Why were you there?
Well, first, why I was there, and with the ever increasing air temperature and in the Arctic and around the globe, there are lots of issues caused by it, and one of it is the warming and thawing of the permafrost. The so-called permanent frozen soil, which is not permanent. And when the permafrost degrade due to the warming air temperature, and lots of issues would occur. The infrastructure problems, roads and houses and pipelines and failures. and people's life got impacted significantly, and permafrost coastal erosion, land loss, and all of those, there are significant, social impact. So we have a few projects and dealing with those issues. And last February last year, before the pandemic, and I went to the Arctic for the second time, but it was in winter time, and it was it wasn't all dark anymore, but it was still very, very cold, and it was negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit with wind chill probably negative 50. It was a very unique experience, Brad.
When Bob Holtz did Director's Cut, he said the coldest temperature he had ever felt was about 33 below zero. So I think you got him beat there, and that one was in Minnesota. What was the most surprising thing to you your time in the Arctic?
Well, it was my first time seeing the frozen Arctic Ocean. And, I thought it was kind of a smooth in the surface, but really it's a very rough surface. And that's one thing. The other I want to say is I had this kind of unique feeling when I was outside. And, it was so cold. And when I breathe, and the cold air coming to my nose and instantly freeze the moisture in my nose. Yep. And when I exhaled, and then the warm temperature would thaw, and then the ice would thaw right away. So with each breathe, and the freezing thaw cycle occurs, kind of tickling feeling. I never felt it before. I felt it very funny.
We when I was a kid, we called whatever that temperature is where that starts to happen, we called it the snot line, because it was the point where it starts to freeze inside your nose. And we were playing hockey one time, and it was about 10 below, and that's when we came up with this idea, because we were having the same phenomenon that you experienced.
Yes.
Kind of a unique situation. Not a lot of people get to experience that. So something else unique beyond going to the Arctic about you, Ming, is that you ran a marathon about 10 years ago. How did you train for that? Are you an avid runner otherwise, or was this just something you decided to do and put your mind to it and made it happen?
Well, I always liked jogging, and I like to jog in the beautiful countryside of central Pennsylvania in the summertime. But when I did the marathon, it was I should say walked the marathon, because I quite some distance I only had to walk. When I had the time, when I was in Fresno, I was working at Fresno State, and I used to train 2 or 3 hours every day, and ran 12, 15 miles. But now I didn't have the time because of my time as being a parent, and
right.
Also yeah.
So do you feel like after you ran that marathon, do you feel like you're in a club? If you're talking to somebody at a reception or at a school function and they say they ran a marathon, does it feel better to be able to say that you did it too?
That was my only time, and I was proud, so it was a unique experience, but I don't think I could do it again.
That's a big deal. I know I've never done it, so I'm super impressed at that one. Another question that'll take you back. You worked at Nortel for a year after you got your PhD. How did that time in industry impact you? Even though it was a short time, I'm sure it did something to you. And do you still think about it today?
Well, I do. Nortel was a telecommunication giant at that time, and I was a software engineer. And because I happened to get a degree in computer science, and I was writing codes for the cell phone, and then I remembered one day, and the customers couldn't make phone calls because the code I wrote got hit, and it was a faulty code, and then we had to work with our field engineers and our team, and to figure out the issue, debug the code. So until 5 o'clock in the morning, and we were able to fix it and apply the patch to the switch, and then it worked. So I was told, Ming, go home. And what I learned from it is, it's really doesn't matter if it's a computer science or a civil engineering. Sometimes when emergency happens, the natural hazard or a bridge failure, and we have to apply a rapid fix. So we work with lots of people and the clients, and in order to apply this kind of repair and under stress. So I learned that teamwork and being in a consulting firm, I think that's really important.
That is very cool. Now, we ask you another nostalgic question. This is the other question that we ask every person on Director's Cut. How did you first get involved in ASCE and GI? I mean, you just said you were a computer science major. How'd you get from that to this?
Well, I studied civil engineering, since college, and
okay.
I remembered the first geo-congress I attended was in 1998 in Boston, when I was a first-year PhD student at Kansas State. And the first podium presentation I made was in 2000. That was in Geo Denver, and Professor Jorge Zumberg was the chair, I think. And so I was really nervous, and after I made the presentation, and in the audience was Professor Shobha Padia, who became our mentor and great friends. And she said, Ming, you did a good job. So later on, I became involved in the embankment dam slope committee. And Joe Workman was the chair, and he was very supportive of me. I was also involved in the erosion committee. And so it's been, I want to say, Brad, over the years, attending Geo-Congress, was so helpful and beneficial to me. And I made lots of friends, and who became lifetime friends and colleagues. And every time after attending the Geo-Congress, I told myself, the investment, time and money was really worth it.
We call it the GI family reunion now, and I like that that's actually true. It's not just a name that we came up with. I mean, I'm sure there are people who you only see at Geo-Congress every year that you never see anywhere else, and it's really great we can get everybody together like that. And
yes.
What's your current technical committee involvement?
I'm still with the EDS committee and also the soil erosion committee,
who could always use some new members, which you can apply to be on any of our 20 technical committees at geoinstitute.org. Definitely something everybody should think about. Get involved in GI. So we have a few more questions to go the rest of the way. Mostly fun, I think.
Okay.
I know that next year you're planning to go on sabbatical to China. What things are you planning to show your kids when you're on sabbatical there?
Yes, and I'm going to take a sabbatical next spring. And, I've been a professor for 16 years, and it's going to be my first sabbatical. And I plan to take my kids to China, and then probably to the mountains I used to climb, the places I used to catch cricket, and, just for them to learn a little bit of Chinese and hope to instill some Chinese culture in them.
That's great. Is there any place that you're going to avoid, either because it looks a lot different than when you were a kid or since you lived there, or just some place that Americans think would be exciting in China, but is not actually a very exciting place to go?
I can't think of any. I think it's pretty safe to go any places. But of course, I'm going to hold my kids' hands all the time because it's really crowded. Yeah.
What food are you going to make them try?
Oh, maybe duck tongue. I never tried, but it sounds like a fear factor. So, some other exotic Chinese food that usually we don't cook here, and they could try. Yeah.
That is excellent. So we talked earlier about your trips to the Arctic. This question, you're going to have to think of something else then. What's the most exciting location you've ever visited in your career, and why were you there? So it has to be something other than the Arctic.
Oh, well, I think one of the places I really liked was Oxford, UK, and that was 2016 when I attended the 8th International Conference on Scour and Erosion. That was in Oxford. So that was my first time to Europe. And so after I got to Heathrow, and I didn't know where to go, and I just took a train to downtown London, and then I found a bus, and I asked, "You're going to Oxford?" And then happened going to Oxford. So I took the bus, 2 hours through the countryside, and then to Oxford, a really beautiful town. And I used to have breakfast in a very long dining hall where Harry Potter was filmed. It was cool, and also meeting lots of friends and colleagues there. It was very nice. Yeah, it was something I really still remember.
So I have to ask you this: did you go running at all when you were in Oxford?
No, I walked a lot. And
did you walk the river that goes through the city and through part of the university campus?
No, I know.
If you ever go back, you must do this. It's great.
I see.
It was a very good experience. I feel like I had never seen anybody to that point fishing in the UK, and I love fishing. And so I thought, this is fantastic. And so I would kind of go slow so I could watch these guys and see what they were catching out of there. Oxford's a fantastic place. And it's not too big, so you can get around easily. It's a nice place to go.
Yes.
So we throw some wild questions in on Director's Cut, and this is your craziest one, I think. If you could eat the same fruit every day all year, which one would you choose and why? If you had to eat it every day, what would you pick?
Well, I hate to disappoint. I would just like to, apple and a banana. So I can eat it every day. It's yeah.
Do you have a favorite type of apple?
Not particular.
Wow. So you could just eat them all.
I just like apples, yes.
So we have one final question, and this is a super important one. Coming up in October, you are the chair of the 10th International Scour and Erosion Conference. We have just made the decision that this is going to be an online conference that happens in October this year. Why should people attend?
Brad, what I think what's really unique about this type of conference is hydraulic community and geotechnical community join together to discuss a common interest issue, that is scour and erosion. And so this is unique because it's from two disciplines that they join together and exchange findings and to meet and to talk about it. And the first ICSE was 20 years ago, and this was our Professor Brial's idea, just to bring two communities together. And now 20 years later, and we're holding the 10th ICSE. So I think that it's really unique. And another unique about it is it's truly international. And about 50% of the attendees are from other countries. And the conference goes, 2 years, every 2 years, and rotate around the globe. And this year it was, it's going to be in the U.S. And last time it was Taiwan. And so you got to meet, people that usually you don't get to meet. I think that's really unique.
And of course, because of the pandemic, we will be holding it online so that people don't have to worry about travel restrictions and things like that. We will be opening registration late this spring, early in the summer. You can find out more at geoinstitute.org. It's going to be a really good time. We want you to be there. I'm going to ask one bonus question again. Because of the pandemic, you're in your house, I'm in my house.
Yes.
What are you most looking forward to about getting back on the Penn State campus?
I would hope to go back to in-person teaching and really to interact with students. I miss that the most. Not as much as in going back to office, but I really liked going back to in-person teaching instead of teaching on Zoom.
If it were me, if you've been to Penn State, the viewers out there, go to the creamery that the agriculture department runs.
Right.
Got to get ice cream there. Ming, what's your favorite ice cream at the creamery?
I think it was Happy Valley Joy. It was like a chocolate ice cream. It was very good.
Must give it a shot. It is a fantastic place to go. Also, I would recommend the Geology Museum on campus. A lot of cool rocks in that place. So, Ming, you survived Director's Cut. You answered every question. We're still at a perfect 100% survival rate. Again, all you viewers out there, if you liked what you saw, click that subscribe button, click get notifications, and we'll let you know every single time we post a new video to the channel, which is frequently. Ming, thanks again for being with us today.
Thank you, Brad. This is a truly privilege. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. We will see everybody next week.